Good evening. Shh. We're not in temple, we're not in mosque, we're not in synagogue, so we don't have to speak. Cardinal Dolan, distinguished co-chairs, honored guests, let us pray. Avinu Shebashamayim, our dear Father in heaven, bestow your grace on this gathering as we assembled here tonight for one reason only, and that is to demand freedom of religion for everyone, everywhere, and at all times. And with your permission, let me clarify. We demand freedom of worship, not solely because we're concerned for our religion and faith, because religion usually outlives empires. We are concerned for societies that cannot tolerate minority religious practices. It is a great privilege to have the opportunity to address you this evening. I stand here representing my father and teacher, Chief Rabbi Pinchas Goldschmidt, the president of the Conference of European Rabbis, representing 700 Jewish community leaders and rabbis across the continent, from London to Moscow, from Helsinki to Rome, who are mandated to defend their religious rights. But I'm also here, bearer of tidings from Europe, which I believe are of concern to all of us here in this room. Just today, in Luxembourg, the European Court of Justice confirmed that the ban for Muslim headscarves in the workplace can be legal. And as a rabbi, that is a concern for me as well. In recent years, we have seen a growing wave of restrictions applied to the practice of religious freedoms in Europe, the cradle of modern democracy. This wave is being driven by the rise of radical ideologies, both from the right and the left of the political spectrum, swelled by a rising tide of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hatred of other religious minorities, as well by a growing secularist contempt for traditional religious beliefs and practices. The steps I'm referring includes laws banning and limiting religious slaughter for both Jews and Muslims in Belgium, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, and others, thus restricting access to kosher and halal meats, as well as the gradual introduction of laws against male circumcision. Sadly, Europe is becoming more and more intolerant of religious practices across the continent. I want to note that this is not just a Jewish problem or a Muslim problem. Rather, it is a problem for European society and for humanity as a whole. Tonight, we ask the leaders of Europe, do you want Europe to be Yud and Rhein? Do you want Jews to continue to live among you? So then do not repeat one of the first laws enacted by Nazi Germany against Jews in 1933, banning ritual animal slaughters. Do not only allow the right to get your underage child a nose job, but also permit them to continue a 4,000-year tradition of the covenant of the circumcision of Abraham. Don't worry, we will survive. But will Europe survive as well? However, when I look around this room, my pessimism is muted, with optimism and inspiration rising from this monumental gathering. I believe we have the power to confront and overcome these challenges. We can make our voices heard, ensure that politicians and leaders of all stripes in all countries understand the importance of recognizing the right of freedom of religious practice, which is no less important than the rights of any other group in society. We believe that America has a key role to play in addressing this issue internationally. By joining hands as sons and daughters of our Creator, recognizing we could succeed if we remind the world who taught them that all men and women were created in the image of God. We could have hope if we remind the world that it did not see real progress until it allowed freedom of religion for all. We must remind the world, as we're slowly coming back to life from this horrific pandemic, that one needs religion with its warm traditions and communities to rebuild the fabric of civic society in a post-COVID world. We must forcefully say that religion could be the solution and not the problem. In Hebrew, freedom has two words in the Hebrew Bible, cherut and chofesh. Chofish is a negative freedom. It means no one is prosecuting you. But that's not enough. You need to have chirut, which is a freedom to self-realization, a freedom with a purpose, with a dream. It's not enough not to be prosecuted. We have to prosper. Thank you. Shalom.